Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Dhamma of Peace series number 30. Perfecting the 5 controlling mental faculties. Part 3. In the last talk, we mentioned about 7 factors of enlightenment. And if one is endowed with the 4th level of insight, arising and passing away, one can start utilizing it. But today, we are going to talk about 7 enlightenment factors that is directly related to Buddha, Arhants, and Ariyas, noble person. All of them have experienced and realized the 4 noble truths and possesses the 7 factors of enlightenment. It is their possession. They dwell in it if they are not engaging for the welfare of others, or stay in cessation mode. In other words, experiencing Nibbana. This Sambhojjhanga has the power to heal. Based on many accounts in the scripture, we can say that this 7 factors of enlightenment has the power to heal. Buddhas and Arahants, they did not purposely utilize 7 factors of enlightenment to overcome serious illness or health. They didn't just simply use it because I want to get better, not with the desire or wants to get healthy. But it's a tool that they have. So just to give an example, once Venerable Sariputta was seriously ill. At that time, Buddha went near him and said, I'm going to recite these 7 factors of enlightenment, the sutta on 7 factors of enlightenment. Pay heed, pay full attention, and contemplate. That's all he said, and he recited these 7 factors of enlightenment. Venerable Sariputta listened carefully and contemplate on each of them. And at the end of the sutta, Venerable Sariputta recovered from illness. And that particular type of illness never arises again. That's one case. And the same scenario also played out with when Venerable Moggallana was seriously ill. Buddha did the same thing for him, and Venerable Moggallana recovered from the illness. That's another account. we can see in the scripture. But one time, Buddha was seriously ill. At that time, there was a arhat named Sunda. Sunda is the father of Venerable Sariputta. He calls Sunda and say, why don't you recite the 7 factors of enlightenment and I will listen. All that he was you ask him to recite it, he will listen. Venerable Sunda recited. The Buddha listened and contemplate, and at the end of the sutta, Buddha recovered from the illness. So those are the specific accounts how these 7 factors of enlightenment, by listening attentively, carefully, and contemplating, one could recover from illness. So we can say, undoubtedly, this Dhamma, the 7 factors of enlightenment is the Dhamma medicine for the noble person. But you don't purposely do it for yourself. But if someone is compassionate enough, will come and fill that position where they can recite and one could listen. Because of that, in Myanmar, a lot of Buddhists recite the sutta, some day in and day out. Some they recite it beside a sick person, believing that it can make their loved ones or friends who are sick can become well. So this is another factor, particularly related with people who become a Ariya now, just to perfect the 5 controlling mental faculties. When you are ill, I believe it might be a little bit out of tune, I guess. I'm just assuming. The next factor is feelings, vedana. This vedana or feeling, when we say the word feeling in English, it can interpret many ways. So let's call it vedana, feeling. It arises whenever a person comes in contact with an object, which means when you see a rose, that means you come in contact with the object, rose. Pleasant feeling arises. And when you see a pile of dog poops, unpleasant feeling arises. Dog poop is the object, you come in contact, feeling automatically arises according to the nature of the object. And there are many objects that you are neither interested or not interested. When you come in contact with these objects, neutral feeling arises. So there are 3 types of feelings: pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Feelings. In Pali, vedana. V-E-D-A-N-A. Vedana. All serious yogis who practice the Satipatthana Vipassana method, or the dry method, which is not mixed with samatha concentration, they are acutely aware of the pain. The pain means suffering. Pain makes you suffer. Unpleasant feeling first and foremost. This particular method is constructed so that the first Vedana one experience is unpleasant. The purpose is to make one face directly, first and foremost, to suffering, pain, suffering. Because suffering is the key. Once we truly understand what suffering is, that means one understands dukkha sissa, the noble truth of suffering. And this method makes one go directly to it. So, the method intends to dive into pain and discover the nature of suffering. To discover dukkha sissa. That's the intention. One must observe the unpleasant feeling, however painful it may be, however excruciatingly torturing you, you must overwhelm it or abandon it. And there's only one way to do. You must apply an unyielding effort with a solid determination. That's the only way to overcome the unpleasant feeling. Even though we say abandon the suffering, the word is abandon, the thing is suffering. But actually, it is about to understand the true nature of suffering, the true nature of specific characteristics and common characteristics of pain during meditation. Okay. We say overwhelm, we say abandon, but it is to understand. A lot of yogis with a stronger concentration power, they can shift into just simply the pain dissolve away. But with a certain degree or a certain extent of concentration, one can see the true nature of pain, the actual painful sensation is simply a high frequency vibration. When you are experiencing and understanding and sensing the high frequency vibration, one do not have the painful sensation. But when the concentration got a little less, the pain arises again. And some people with great concentration, they can dissolve the pain. But those people, they have to be very careful. They are in the cups of going into jhana. In fact, some yogis go in and out of jhana, back and forth. But they have to experience that the solution of pain again and again and again and again, and to understand that it is impermanence. So their approach is a little different because of the high degree of concentration. And when they suddenly shift into the deep concentration zone, you begin to experience many different things, and then back. But the key thing is to understand that unpleasant feeling is also impermanence. And because of that impermanence, it is suffering. Of course, unpleasant feeling is also suffering. That is obvious suffering. The other one is the disappearance, the dissolution of that pain. one sees that is a dukkha sissa. The constant disappearance is dukkha sissa. Obvious pain is still suffering, but that one everybody knows. So be careful, some yogis might be in that camps. The key thing is to experience and sense anicca, disappearance, impermanence. So it is about understanding the specific characteristics of pain and then common characteristics of pain. That is the objective, that is the goal. There are many manifestations goes in because of the deep concentration, and if one can take it, identify with the common characteristics, then one's go into insight. If not, it goes into the place of energy of concentration power. These obvious suffering we say is everybody knows. But knowing is one thing, how to utilize this another thing. Obvious suffering does not require meditation, but if someone can learn from it, if someone can develop a sense of urgency from that obvious suffering, then it is very useful. We must learn and develop a sense of urgency from the obvious suffering. Because quality of reflection, you reflect that obvious suffering with suitability, appropriateness, and beneficiality is necessary. You have to reflect on that obvious suffering to put you on the road of urgency to escape from samsara. Once you have a sense of urgency, automatically you start practicing the tools, the methods to escape from samsara. Starting from the third level of insight, samasana jnana, one understands the true nature of suffering. That is the first insight, a true insight, you can call it. You understand it. However, when a yogi reaches higher insight level, the experience of understanding the same anicca, dukkha, anatta becomes sharper and more apparent. That is unpleasant feeling. And at a real higher level, you understand these three characteristics profoundly. The same thing you understand, but the level and the degree and sharpness and clarity and the way it sinks into your mind and heart differs. At the higher level, it becomes so deep, you are with it all the time. We talk about unpleasant feeling, pleasant feeling too, in a dry insight. When you reach the level of the insight of arising and passing away, one experiences a lot of pleasant feelings. The key point is not to get attached to it, not to stay with it, but keep on observing that pleasant feeling till you feel, till you see that pleasant feeling is nothing but suffering. That is how one abandons the unpleasant feeling. In one of the two we talk about, the yogi must be attentive to see the ending of each and every object. That's one. Incline the mind to see the cessation. But this particular one is especially special because It happens only at the level of insight of equanimity, Sankharupekha jnana. At that time, at that level, you see the objects one after the other very clearly. You don't miss a beat. They are like a flow, like water flowing in the river, like a flow, a stream of objects in your stream of consciousness. And you don't even need to put effort, it's just happening. You're sitting and watching. And at that moment, you don't feel any likes or dislike, simply neutral. But there's a catch. For the insight practitioner, Vipassana practitioner, you cannot simply be content with that neutral feelings flowing, nothing rocks you, nothing moves you, everything is okay. No, in here is one must again incline the mind to see each and object, to see the cessation, the ending of each and object. And if you succeed to do it, then you see the anicca, impermanence of each object, and dukkha, and there is no essence in anything and everything. That is called overcoming the neutral feelings. When you overcome both pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feeling correctly with insight of the three common characteristics, you can rest assured one has attained or realized Nibbana. If it is the first time, it is the first stream winner, the first noble person level. So that is another tool to overcome pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feeling. It's one of the tools how to perfect your 5 controlling mental faculties. If you can overcome these things, you can rest assured that your 5 controlling mental faculties are perfectly balanced. May all of you be able to practice mindfulness, insight, meditation, and achieved and attained the perfect balance of 5 controlling mental faculties and realize Nibbana as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much.